Hi everybody, it's Robbie from Southern California, and today I want to talk about one thing. I want to talk about composting in place. And the best compost that really you can use many times is free, provided you've got something to start with, and if you don't, you soon will. Back in 2017, I made a video on composting in place. I watched so many other videos and I tried something on my own because I walked around looking at nature. I watched things fall off of trees onto the ground and land there and just decompose, and the trees grew. Think of avocado trees. They use their own leaves and they use the fruit that lands. This goes with everything. This was nature. So what I did was I started to do what nature did. I mean, after all, it should work. I mean, if it works for Mother Nature, if it works for the earth, shouldn't it work for me? So what I started doing was I started to collect my own kitchen scraps as well as things from the garden and started dumping it in a container because where I was going to grow, and I figured I would grow on top. But what happened? What happened was the seeds that I were putting in there from old squash, papaya, even orange trees, it was growing. I didn't plant it. I threw it in there. I was going to compost it. But somehow it figured, wait a minute, this is the perfect environment. I'm growing. The food matter had not even broken down. Everything was still looking like it looked. And then I realized that is what nature does. It falls. It breaks open. It starts to decompose. The microbes get in there. The earthworms get in there. Insects, bugs, everything gets in there. And in the meantime, the seeds grow. So yes, I made a video back in 2017 on how I was composting in place by putting all kinds of matter in containers. I started the container garden. I have a deck. I don't care if you have this little tiny place. Here's a tub from the thrift store. Here's a tub, simple small tub. We drill holes all the way around, but not all the way to the bottom. This way there's always a little bit of water. So if you forget to water, there's water and it will wick up when you have plants in here. So you get a cheap tub, something that's not going to fall apart really that quick. This is a good tub. And there you are. So now you've got your first planting thing. Very simple, your shredded paper. If you're shredding paper, throw that in there. Everything goes in there. Don't worry if it's all bunched up, because too close to the top, this will break down. Then, the other thing is leaves from the garden. All kinds of leaves, rotted leaves, whatever you're trimming down, you want all that. This is gold. This is your vitamins and nutrients, and this is going to break everything down to wonderful soil. Collect that, put it in your tub. If you don't have a garden, if you don't have any place to get this, even grass clippings, go to your neighbors and tell them you want to clean up their yard, and go and take your little shears, the scissors, and go out there and trim off all their leaves. You'll find it. It's out there. It's free. It's everywhere. And that goes in there. Spread that out. Look at that. I even have fig leaves in there. Look at that. Everything goes in there. Just do it as layers. Now, kitchen scraps. Everything. Toilet paper rolls. Eggshells. Coffee grinds. I use bones if I'm having chicken in mine. You don't have to. My husband's doing this. Let's see if he can pan over for a second and show the one that's got a wire he built out for me. I have a little cage on that one. So anyways, you can put a cage on top if you want to use bones. If you don't want to use bones, you probably won't need a cage, but if you want a cage anyways, you can have a cage built just to sit on top. All the chicken scraps go in there. So that's in there. Now I lost my shovel. There's my shovel. Spread it around. This is just wonderful. This will be ready to plant in a matter of a week or two. It breaks down that quick. The other thing you should do, or what I do, I don't want to tell anybody what to do. What I do is I use wood chips. This is wood chips. It's partly broken down. I took it from a pile in the center. Now I do realize that a lot of people don't have wood chips. So you can go to your store, wherever you want to go, and get some potting soil. Plain old potting soil. Buy the cheapest because you're putting in such good stuff, so it doesn't matter. It's good if you can get organic. check the label, see what it says. But you just dump that on top. And because I am going to use wood chips, I'm going to dump the wood chips on top. And you spread it around. I'm going to put my wood chips on top because I have it. If you don't have it, you don't need to. You can get grass clippings when you hear a gardener in your area. Just make sure they're not using Roundup. If you have any doubt that somebody's using Roundup or any type of whatever chemicals on their grass, don't touch it. You want to know that it's chemical free. But that's it. Now, the most important thing with this is you need to water it. So when you're just water it lightly, keep it wet. Water is life. If there's no water in here and this dries out, you won't be able to plant in it. Some people think they can leave it like this, come back in a few weeks and start planting. It won't work. Water is life. Just remember that. Nothing really can live without water. So you want to keep this wet, and then you're going to be good to go. Now, if you were going to plant zucchini or squash, I'll be honest with you, you can plant today because they just love being planted in this, even before it's long broken down, because while it's breaking down, they're growing. So that's pretty much it. Anybody can do it. We'll keep the container gardening short because I have plenty on that. But the reason I had a container garden is multiple reasons. We have rodents, so I had to figure out how to get rid of the rodents. We have gophers that want to eat everything, and they come from the bottom up. We have trees, beautiful, beautiful trees, and in order for me to grow, I would have to take the pepper trees and the pine trees out because they can travel 50, 100 feet more. So they would invade my garden. Basically, they were coming from all sides, up and down and all around. So that's why I went into container gardening. I figured I have to try it because I was determined to grow food. So I started to dump everything in there and, it worked. And yes, in 2017, I made that video and I have not changed my method. Now, over the years, it's not that many years ago, 4 years ago, and I still have some of the totes that I even set up back then. I did find better ways of doing things. Don't put the holes on the bottom of the totes if you're dealing with roots. Tree roots will come in. I'd rather have my plant send its roots out, but I don't want the pine trees, I don't want the pepper trees to come rob my totes and my plants. What they really do is they go in there and they swell up and they block the holes because they want the water and the nutrients too. But in the meantime, you'll lose your plants. So I figured out, put the holes up a good couple inches. Keep it up in the air because that's one thing tree roots cannot do. They cannot climb out of the soil and go up. Yes, they can go to the surface, but they can't go up and across because they'll air prune. And it works. So if you've got your holes up and you're dealing with tree roots, that's what you really got to do. If you're dealing with water issues, I was dealing with water issues. I would water my plants in the ground and I thought I was watering them and they didn't do well, only to go dig around the plant to find out, well, the water was going down and sideways, not to the roots. It could be from insects moving it around, ants tunnel when they want to nest somewhere. They make the tunnels and redirect water just like, rivers. Things were directing the water not to where I wanted, but in a tote, they can't do that. So I continued to garden in containers, but compost in place. Do I plant before my compost breaks down? You betcha I do. Because if I don't do it, I'm going to grow everything else in there. And I've got to compost what's growing because I can't stop it from growing. That stuff doesn't cost me anything. I am putting on the bottom lots of wood matter, branches, sticks, big chunks of weeds, whatever I've picked. I try to put on the bottom more larger things that will take time to break down. I've seen some people use rocks and you can fill it up with rocks, but here's the thing. Rocks aren't going to be any benefit to you. It's just going to make everything heavy if you wanted to slide it around for some reason. You're not going to gain any soil or compost from rocks. But if you put logs in on the bottom, big pieces of wood that came off of trees, natural trees, just branches that fell, that will become soil. And if you tipped it over later, you would have the richest soil in there if you choose to tip it over. So that's why I like to put matter that was once alive on the bottom. I start with branches, and then I may put paper, shredded paper. You can put toilet paper rolls. You can use newspaper. I don't use the shiny. There's a lot of stuff you can put in there. Your kitchen scraps. It doesn't matter if it was cooked or raw or something you found in the back of the fridge and you couldn't figure out what it was. If it was in the fridge, you were probably going to eat it at one time. Let the microbes have it. You can put anything you want in there. Can you put meat? Yes, you can put meat. The only problem with putting meat in there is it can attract more, maybe rodents or coyotes or something if you've got. They don't seem to come to the other matter that you put in there. So that is up to you. But there are people that compost meat. And yes, I have composted meat and chicken bones and all that. Again, I'll leave that one up to you. But you can put pretty much anything that was once part of nature back in there. Leaves from your garden, leaves from your neighbor's garden, leaves from trees. You can put anything in there. Grass clippings, just make sure nothing was sprayed on it. Weed killer. You don't want anything like that. You want to know what's going into your garden. You want to know what's going into your containers. And yes, you can compost in place in the ground by digging a hole, and you could do the same thing without a container. So, after all these years, when you saw that first video, have I changed anything? Nah. I do everything the same. And on the top, if you're going to grow directly in it, you do want to cover the matter only because whatever kitchen scraps, leaves, and all that you put in there, it's only going to break down what is underneath. And when I say underneath, that 1/4 of an inch on the top is the only part that's not breaking down, because it's above in the air. Anything that's not touching the oxygen, the air, is breaking down. So what I usually do is the same thing I did, and I put something on the top. It could be soil, your own native soil if it's fairly good. You can put wood chips if you've got broken down wood chips. And if you don't have anything like that, get yourself a bag of soil. I mean, it's better than using the whole bag. You're only going to use a very small amount to put on the top and then plant in it. You can plant in it immediately. You're not ready to plant? Better yet, just let it sit. But no matter what, you never throw this stuff away. This is the best soil you can get, and it's free. And if just starting out and you say, wait a minute, I have no grass clippings. I have no leaves from the garden. I don't have anything. I'm sure you're eating. So you're going to have kitchen scraps. And as you garden, you will have leaves. If you can't go to a neighbor's or can't go down the block for a walk and fill up a bag and bring it back, start planting. If you have to, go ahead. Buy some potting soil of your choice. And then from there, as you grow, every single leaf is your next soil that you are going to create in your own garden. So it will come. Your soil will come. And the more you grow, the more soil you will produce. It's fabulous. It's rewarding. It's fun. And it's free. So why not? So have I changed anything? No. I still compost in place. I still container garden now. I don't even know how many containers I've got. I think Gary's got more than me. But I just wanted to let you know, yes, I am still container gardening. Exactly what I did back in 2017. That's the way Mother Nature does it. And until she changes it, I think I'll just go with what she does. With that, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody.